we are less than 1 week away from the NFL draft. For those of you that aren't interested in the NFL draft and are only here for ASMR aspects, the only ASMR you'll find here is my voice. If you're looking for other triggers, I implore you to check out any of my other videos that are role plays. I have many, and I upload daily, so there's something for you there. However, if you do like the sound of my voice and you are wanting to hear me ramble, or you are interested in the NFL and want to hear my takes on the draft or whatever, then you're in the right spot. We are talking about another mock draft, but this is a no trades mock draft. This isn't perfect. This is obviously not what's going to happen. There's going to be trades. There's always trades. The NFL has been wacky, wild, and crazy this year, so of course there's going to be a wacky, wild, and crazy edition of the draft this year. Which is why so many of my other drafts have a multitude of trades, including the ones I've done in the past, and including the one I have last. Though should be the one after this one should be the last mock draft before the actual draft. So that should be like my final draft of my mock drafts. My last guess at predicting how it will unfold. I'll undoubtedly be wrong because one event will cascade the entire thing off of it, but it's a possibility to be right, but it's fun to guess and it's fun to speculate. But moving on to the draft we have in front of us, or this mock draft we have in front of us, there's no trades. That does affect how some players will fall, and it does affect how some teams will draft. Most notably, I think that pick 9. I don't think he has a chance at getting to pick 9. If he falls for some reason, the way he does in this, then a team will trade up to take him at some point. Yes. But with that being said, I think that was everything I needed to say prior. Let's get into it. Thank you for being here. The first overall pick is the Jags. They pick, so I guess there's no trades. They're going to be taking Aiden Hutchinson, the best defensive end in the class. That's what most people say. He's very good at just about everything. Super athletic, can stop the run pretty well. He's not phenomenal at it, but doesn't struggle, and he can rush the passer pretty darn well. So he tests pretty darn well too. It's not like he is super athletic. Might not be the most athletic, but he's super athletic, very, very athletic, with his prowess and technicalness and just other aspects all around. Good pick. Number 2 is the Lions. This could be quarterback. I don't think it will be personally. I think they're going to draft Kayvon Thibodeau here. They sent 9 or something, not even more, but a lot of scouting personnel to Oregon's Pro Day to determine if he is going to be their guy too. And I feel like if you send that many guys to a Pro Day, you have at least enough interest to take them at the pick you have. So I think he's their guy. Moving on to pick 3 is the Texans. Looking at all the talent on the board, they might go Sauce. But then again, I think they're gonna look at what went first, because they also have I think in the real life they're going to trade back up into the top whatever, but they can't do that in this one. However, they can see what has fallen so far, and they can either take the best. Oh man, I'm talking myself into it. Where's my pencil? Do I do that? Man, I'm gonna have to do that. Making a slight change. Because I feel like if the Texans are at pick 3 and they want Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau go off the board, they have two ways of thinking about it. They can either get the third best edge, or maybe the fourth best edge at pick 13, which they also have. Oh man, I'm gonna stick with it. Screw it. I talked myself out of it. The Texans are going to look at how the board looks and realize that there's a significant drop-off in edge talent after the first 4 guys. 5. First 5 guys, there's a significant drop-off. And then when you look at tackle, there's a significant drop-off after 2, and then there's a significant drop-off again after, significant drop-off after 3, and then a significant drop-off after 4 again, maybe 5. 5 again, but mostly 3. And there's also an elite tier of edge of 3, which is Hutch, Thibodeau, and Walker. Now they could swing for the fences and get, Walker, the third of the edge, and hope that a tackle falls to them. Or they could go Evan Neal / Ike Ekwonu. At 3. And then try and take a defensive end whenever they pick again at 13, in this case. I think they're going to try and nab both, have their cake and eat it too, and grab Walker here at 3 because the other 2 defensive ends have already gone at 1 and 2. So they're going to grab the third edge and then try and grab the other tackle whenever they pick again. So they're gonna draft, I think his name is Trevon Walker. Pretty sure, out of Georgia, defensive end. Moving on to pick 4, we have the Jets. The Jets are going to take the best cornerback in the class, which is Sauce Gardner. Now they could take Kyle Hamilton if they want to reach, but I feel like they could grab him at 10, but even that would be not redundant, but it'd be a bit much to put 2 top 10 picks into your secondary. It's just me, but I'd take Sauce here, and I think the Jets are going to take Sauce here. Moving on to pick 5, the Giants said they're open to trading this pick back, and also pick 7. So I feel like somebody's going to do that to one of those 2 picks, but like I said, there's no trade in this mock, so it's just regular picks. So we got Evan Neal at pick 5 to the Giants. Tackle, they get the pick of their tackles. I feel like they're sitting at pick 5 and just like thinking to themselves, all right, we're going to get a top 3 edge, or we're going to get a top 2 tackle. Either way, like 100% chance of that. And in this case, they get their choice of top 2 tackles because the Jets didn't take one. So moving on to pick 6, the Panthers. I think the Panthers are going to trade back in reality because of they don't have a 2nd or 3rd round pick this year. I feel like it's kind of something they'd like to change, and they're not necessarily they don't have. I think they have 6 picks next year, so they could stand to go back. But like I said, there's no trade in this one, so they're going to stand pat. And if they stand pat, they're either going to take a tackle, which is Ike Ekwonu in this situation, or in the more likely scenario, they're going to take Kenny Pickett. The real determinator for that one, in my case, is if Matt Rule was the reason Sam Darnold came to Carolina, then I don't think that he's going to get the draft Pickett. But if the GM was the reason that Sam Darnold came to Carolina, then I think Matt Rule is going to get a chance to draft a quarterback, which is going to be Pickett. Because among many things, Pickett was a verbal commit to Temple whenever Matt Rule was the head coach there. Moving on to pick 7. The Giants are here. Now, I thought real hard about this. I thought real hard about what I was going to do with the Giants at pick 7, because they can't take another tackle. They already have a good tackle. Well, Andrew Thomas, a first-round tackle, who's starting to be good now. So they already have a good tackle they can't replace. And they already drafted Evan Neal, who's going to slot in at right tackle. They can't draft another tackle. And they can't draft one of the interior guys in the top 10. And they can't trade back in this scenario. So what are they going to do? There's two guys I teetered back and forth between who they were going to take. And now I have to consider if it's actually a receiver, because I'm recording this after the Kadarius Toney is available for trade news. So since that's the thing, you have to wonder, like, are they thinking about taking a receiver? That's what their first pick. They trade back. We're at 7. Maybe. But in this scenario, I really thought about Stingley or Hamilton. One of the two. I was really debating very hard between the two. You'll see in my other trade thing, I may have went the other way. May have. Maybe not. We'll see. But I pick Kyle Hamilton, this one for the Giants, because they lost Julius. What's his name? Jabari? Peppers? Julius. Lost Peppers. I can't remember his first name for some reason. And I feel like, no, it's a J. They lost Peppers, the safety, to Cleveland, I believe. Not 100%, but I'm fairly certain it's Cleveland. And the way he's gone, no, he came from there. What am I saying? Where did he go? Doesn't matter. He's not on the Giants anymore. They have an opening at safety. I think they might fill it that way, but they also might go with cornerback, because there's questions involving Bradbury for some reason. But I'm going to go with Kyle Hamilton in this scenario. Moving on to pick 8. Before I move on to pick 8, I want to reiterate the Giants are probably going to trade back if they have someone calling up to trade with one of those two picks. But like I said, there's no trades in this draft, so no trades. Moving on to pick 8, the Falcons are looking at the board and they see a tackle that they like. They might pull the trigger there, honestly. They could even put him at guard if they really need to, which they might really need to. So I really thought about this one. I'm like, do the Falcons take Ike Ekwonu, who's currently falling, who in real life he won't fall. This is basically the guy. If someone's going to trade up and take him, if he falls, he's not gonna. He's going to either go before 5, or he's going to go at 5, or he's going to go right after 5. Like, basically, he's not going to get this far. But I have the Falcons actually passing on him to take Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher, who a lot of people view as potentially the best, but people view the top 3 edge to be Hutch, Tibbs, Walker, and then right underneath him is Jermaine. Jermaine isn't quite with 5, and he's not quite with 1. Some people view him as 1, but some people a lot of people view him as 4, but some people view him as 1. So he's fringe, that top tier. So the Falcons are gonna take him. And then moving on to pick 9, the Seahawks, do they take a tackle? Probably not. They didn't take a tackle, or they didn't take a first-round tackle whenever they had Russell Wilson there, who was begging for protection, so why would they start now? Well, the only reason they'd start now is if that's the best player that's available, which might be the case if Charles Cross or Ike Ekwonu became available for pick 9. And look, we have Ike Ekwonu available at pick 9. I don't expect the Seahawks to have a chance to get him at pick 9. If they trade up to get him, maybe. I also think they might go Willis here. It's a very real chance to go Willis. It's a very real chance to go Pickett if he's available here. But I think that since Ike's falling this far, that they're going to be like, okay, we'll take arguably the number 1, number 2 player in the whole class, potentially. Same thing goes for Willis, though, honestly. But I have them taking Ike Ekwonu. Moving on to pick 10, we have the Jets. The Jets might trade this pick away for Deebo Samuel. It's very possible. Well, obviously, they said no trades. So if this is no trades, then why would I have that trade happening here? So the Jets keep their pick here, and they take Jameson Williams, the first receiver off the board. He's injured, but he's the best deep threat in the class. He's got the best speed. He's healing fine, they say. So first receiver off the board at 10. Moving on to 11 is the second receiver off the board is Garrett Wilson. He's like the surefire receiver. He's like the super high floor. His ceiling's high too, but his floor's like super high too, like very high. So he's gonna be a good pro no matter what. Moving on to pick 12, we have the Vikings. I think that they might actually trade up for this guy if he gets all like down to like pick 7, 8, maybe even like 9, 10. It's the Vikings taking Stingley. I think they might trade up to draft him. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Watch my other mock draft whenever I put that out, which will be in the next couple days because, the draft is very soon. Exciting. It's like a holiday. Moving on to pick 13, we have the Texans. Now, like I said before, the Texans are probably going to, I think they're going to trade back up into the top 10 for another premium pick because they have the ammunition to do so. And 13 is very close to that, so they might as well, get that extra like third and fourth rounder to go get up a guy of the same position they're trying to grab of a premium. But in this case, they don't have to trade up to do it. He fell to them, and that's going to be Charles Cross at pick 13. They got the third best defensive end, and they got the third best tackle. Either one of them could end up being the best. Either one of them could be phenomenal. Both of them could be phenomenal. That's a good draft. They didn't even have to trade up to do it in this case. So moving on to they can slot him in at right tackle, and then it allows flexibility with Larry Tunsil, so you don't have to pay him an egregious amount of money every time the contract comes around. Even then, I think they just resigned him, so it should be fine. But either way, put him at right tackle, but that allows you to cut him, save money if that's how the contract was built. I'm not quite sure on that one, to be honest. By the way, a right tackle is not a bad investment, especially at pick 13 if he might be the best one. Moving on to pick 14, we have the Ravens. Now, I think the Ravens are probably going to trade back in this class if they have someone willing to trade up, because if somebody falls, and there very well might be somebody who falls, and if the right person falls for the right team, they are going to trade up. I think one of the teams that's definitely could be aggressive is the Cowboys. The Packers and the Chiefs are also probably going to be fairly aggressive. I think the Chiefs are arguably going to be the most aggressive, but I don't know how aggressive they are going to be in the first round exactly. Because I know they want a wide receiver, and there's going to be they can sit at that 29 where they're at currently and take a receiver there, and it'll be a probably not top 5, but maybe top 10 guy. And if they trade up, they can get it up to a top 5, up to a top 10. I'm sorry, up to a top 3 even guy, depending on how far they're willing to trade up. But the Ravens are, like I said, standing pat because nobody can trade in this mock draft, so they are going to be taking George Kraloff, the defensive end from Purdue. Very athletic as well. He's like Hutchinson, 0.8. Not quite as good, but just super solid. And might end up being better, but probably not. But also super athletic. He's like edge 5 to a lot of people. Great at stopping the run. So very Ravens guy. Moving on to pick 15, we have the Eagles. Now they're going to be looking at the board, and I think they're kind of wanting Karlaftis at this pick potentially. But since the Ravens didn't trade back, that means that the Ravens took Karlaftis, which means the Eagles are looking at the board. I think they're planning on taking linebacker Devin Lloyd, but not with this pick. think they're going to take a receiver because I think they're afraid that the Saints are going to take a receiver. And I think that they want the pick of receiver before the Saints do. And I think they're going to take Drake London, the wide receiver from USC. So I think he's going to fall a little bit, but not that much. And also, he might be somebody teams trade up for. It's not 100%, but it's very possible he might. Moving on to pick 16, we have the New Orleans Saints for the first time. This is a second part of the extra breads part of the sandwich. And they're going to take the best tackle available in this scenario, I think. So it could be anyone they really think that they like. Because I've heard that around this tier, like after the top 3 guys, after that it's basically whatever flavor that you're looking for. Most people view Trevor Penning as the tackle 4 in this case. I'm just going to slot him in there. Tackle 4 is... they're probably looking for a left tackle, not a right tackle in this scenario, which is important because most tackles you can go under either or, but then there's some guys that like, oh, they're definitely right tackle, oh, they're definitely left tackle, and like they would fall under the definitely left tackle guys. I don't know if Penning is, though, to be honest, if I'm being 100% real with you, but best left tackle at 16 is where the Saints are going to do. And then moving on to pick 17 is the peanut butter in between the thick-ass bread that is the Eagles and Saints. Now, because they are between the picks between the Eagles and Saints, they are in a premium spot to draft whatever position they really want. Sorry, not whatever position they really want. Sorry, they're in a premium position to trade back with somebody that really wants to get before the Eagles and Saints do. Because the Eagles and Saints they're both fairly decent teams when it comes to how they're built. So you can kind of figure out which directions these teams are going to go, like in terms of like 2 or 3 different kind of positions that they could draft from. And of course, they could defy that and draft somebody from like that they think is just the best talent available instead. But I don't think they're going to do that in this case. So they basically are like, I'm sorry if you hear the chirping. I have to go close that door. Wait, look at my pants. If you're still watching, look at my pants. Falcons logo, yeah. Oh, we draft ready. My hair looked so good like a couple hours ago before like there's no AC in my room. And I can't have the fan on while recording because it'll mess with the audio. So it's kind of stagnant air in here, and it's warm. So I'm just kind of, that was my small bit of AC. The door was open, but like, there's 2 doors. So I had enough air coming in, but not too much. Well, here we are. Like I was saying, the Chargers are at pick 17. That's the peanut butter part of the thick bread sandwich. And so somebody's probably going to be like looking at, the Eagles already drafted this position. That means they're probably not going to draft this position, which means they're probably going to draft this position. Same thing goes for the Saints. Like the Saints, I think, are going to draft a tackle, wide receiver. And if other teams think that way as well, and they see the Saints draft tackle at 16, they're going to go, oh, they're definitely taking a wide receiver at 19. Or you could say the same thing about the Eagles, like, oh, they might go receiver, they might go linebacker. And if they go receiver at 15, you can go, oh, they're definitely going to go linebacker at 18 probably. Or defensive line, like one of those 2 positions probably. And seeing that, you know that those 2 teams are about to pick right again. And you call the Chargers and be like, hey, yeah, I'm trying to get ahead of these 2 teams and trying to pick a guy at one of those positions. And think so that they are one of the more likely teams to trade back. But of the teams that are likely to trade up, I think the Packers are one of them. I think the Cowboys are one of them. I think the Cardinals potentially, the Bills even too. But the team that I think is the most likely to try to trade up won't actually be able to do that. It's the Chiefs, because they're inside the division. If that happens, and one way I think the Chargers allow that trade to go through is if they absolutely just swindle the Chiefs. But like I said, there's no trades in this draft, but I could see them trying to do that. So since there's no trades, the Eagles and Saints don't have to worry about someone trying to jump up and take their guy at 17. So the Chargers are going to take Jordan Davis, the defensive tackle, super athletic, just big man. Doesn't really rush the passer very well yet, but he sure can stop the run. And man, the Chargers could not stop the run last year, and looks like they're trying to go on like a Super Bowl run this year, because they added a top corner and they added a top defensive end / outside linebacker. So they're going in. Might as well add a uber athletic guy in the middle to hopefully stop that run and let the other guys do their job in the pass. That's my analysis. We're going to pick 18, the Eagles. Again, they're going to take the linebacker, Devin Lloyd. Cause like I said, they're looking at the positions. Like, oh, they could go this, they could go that. Looking at positional value, they're going to take a positional positional value times the players that are available at their position ranking. Devin Lloyd is probably one of the best. They're going to take him there, a linebacker from Utah. And then moving on to pick 19, the Saints are going to be looking at what they could draft, and the answer is probably receiver, because they didn't go receiver in the first time. They could wait to take the tackle out of this pick and go receiver with the first one. Like, especially if Drake London's available, they might love Drake London. He's a lot like Michael Thomas, but taller and more tackle breaky. Elusive. Forgot the word for elusive for a minute. Excuse me. So I think they're gonna draft somebody who's a bit different, because like, of the players that are available, the receivers that are available, this should be one of the top guys in most people's opinions, and that's Chris Olave, the other Ohio State receiver. He's route running savvy, and he's got some pretty decent speed too, but he's more of a route runner than anything else. But we're gonna pick 20. Is the Steelers? They're gonna be in this scenario lucky because they don't have to trade up, because they can't trade up, but the reason they don't have to trade up is because nobody else wanted to trade up, and also because they got lucky the Seahawks didn't take this guy. And that's oh man, I'm blanking on his first name. Oh no. Malik Willis at pick 20. I think he's going to go to the Steelers. I think the Steelers might have to trade up for him. Yeah, but in this case, no trades. So here he is at 20. I'm gonna do a humble brag. No, I'm not. I'll wait till that. I'll wait for the next one. We're gonna pick 21. The Patriots. Now the Patriots could go guard here. Very Patriots thing to do. And another Patriots thing to do would be to trade back. No, I really considered having them go guard, but I decided against it. Because I decided maybe Bill Belichick wants more defense, and at least wants to build his defense in a different way. He used to do it through corners, and now he obviously didn't pay his top corner this time, so he might be thinking he can get away with doing it in a slightly different way. And I think that might be through a good linebacker, good middle linebacker, someone who can call the defense perfectly, and someone who can analyze the defense and be good in coverage. And that's honestly either linebacker, but the one that plays smarter is Nakobe Dean, and obviously he's the one that's left of the two good best linebackers anyway. So I think they're going to draft Nakobe Dean at 21. That way he can be Bill Belichick's mouthpiece while on the field. Moving to pick 22, the Packers, they might trade up from this pick. They might not. They might just stand pat and say, we'll take who falls to us, because there's talent everywhere. Devonta Wyatt is who I have them taking here at pick 22, the defensive tackle from Georgia. Now, Georgia's defensive line was absolutely unholy in terms of if you were anybody else. It was something that shouldn't be allowed. There's more of these players are going to go in the top, maybe even the first round. The edge and defensive tackles are just that would be 2 defensive tackles from this line, and then 1 edge, and there's going to be at least another one, maybe even 2. I think later on. Also, Jermaine Johnson, the edge from FSU, he was a transfer from Georgia, so he would have been on this line as well, which would have been even more absurd. But Devonta Wyatt was like the main pass rushing defensive tackle. Trevon Walker was a guy you could put inside and outside. He had the flexibility and athleticism to do anything, but Devonta Wyatt was more of an interior guy that could generate pressure through that way. So I think that's what the Packers do. So then moving on to pick 23, we've got the Cardinals. And the Cardinals were in a division where they just saw Deebo Samuel just kind of do some crazy things. Deebo said he doesn't want to do that anymore. They can't really acquire Deebo, but they can acquire a guy that does the same thing in college, and they do need another receiver after Christian Kirk left, and they do need to make Kyler Murray happy, so might as well take the best receiver available, which he might not even be the best receiver available, but he's got the biggest potential probably of the receivers available, except for maybe one more guy. That's Treylon Burks, because he can do the running back thing too also. That's Cardinals taking Treylon Burks at 23. Now the Cowboys are at pick 24, and I think he might like Treylon Burks as well. He might try to trade up for Treylon Burks. But like I said, in this one, there's no trades, so he's got to stand pat at 24, and at 24, he's going to take the best center on the board, and that's Tyler Linderbaum. They've shown they'll take a center in the first round before. It's the same guy picking, Jerry Jones, so he might do it. He drafted Travis Frederick around this time, around this pick range, and it worked out fine for them until he retired early, so who's saying they won't do it again? They'll probably do it. Or they might go for the super splashy pick, which would be defensive end, or wide receiver. I think that's it. Or they also they need talent on their offensive line in general. That's their main need: tackle and interior. So obviously the whole line, or any spot on the line, I should say. They could tend to add an upgrade at defensive end and a few other positions, but Jerry Jones splash, and that's receiver sometimes. He's already shown he would do that with CeeDee Lamb in the past. So he's shown a tendency to do a lot of things. He's a wild card. Moving on to pick 25, we have the Bills, and we have the Bills taking cornerback number 3 on most people's board, and that's Trent McDuffie. Bit shorter of a guy, but good in coverage. I'm pretty sure White is a bit shorter of a guy, but good in coverage. So who's to say they won't try to draft another version of him, because they did miss him in the playoffs last year. So good depth there. Maybe even have 2 Whites if they get super lucky. Moving on to pick 26, we have the Titans. I think the Titans are not fairly but they do have potential to trade back from this pick. But like I said, since there's no trading backs, they're going to be taking cornerback number 4 in most people's cases, and that's going to be Andrew Booth. He's a bit more of a physical corner. I think already is zone more, but he can press all right, and he is very good in terms of run stopping. He will actually tackle, and he will get involved, which is something that Titans probably value very much, because they had a very good defense last year. They drafted a quarterback in the first round last year, which is Caleb Farley, but they lost Jack Rabbit Jenkins free agency, so they need another corner. Unless they have one on the roster, which I don't think they do. Moving on to pick 27, we have the Buccaneers. I also considered giving the Titans a tackle, but I did not. I considered it, but I did not. Moving on to pick 27, we have the Buccaneers at pick 27. I think they're fairly likely to trade up. Not super likely because they don't have like a ton of ammunition, but they do have a drastically closing window that I think they're incredibly aware of. So I think they're going to try and trade up from the spot to make sure they get their guy. But in this scenario, they get lucky and don't have to get their guy. They don't have to trade up to get their guy anyway. Their guy falls to them, and their guy is Zion Johnson, the guard from Boston College. Big old guy, big old man mover. He can fit just about any scheme. He's a very good player. And good value at 27. Moving on to pick 28, we have the Packers' second first-round pick, and I think this is the one that they use on a receiver. They might use the other one on a receiver, especially if they trade up to do it. If they trade up, it's almost guaranteed to be a receiver, but if they don't trade up in the picks, it's probably going to be this receiver the second time through. In this scenario, I have them taking George Pickens. He would be going higher in the first if he never got injured, but he got injured early in late last year, but he came back at the end and proved he can still play pretty well, even if he wasn't 100%. So, like, teams are going to value that. He's also very athletic and very good. So, teams are going to value him. A team is going to take a first-round pick on him because out of worry that he won't be there in the early second. And I have the Packers being one of those teams. Apparently, he's also been like super popular with Packers fans, or like whatever the news people, like the journalists and Twitter. Let's just say it. Packers Twitter has been raving over George Pickens, and then the Packers people of involvement and speculation also love George Pickens. That was a whole mouthful, but I said it. Moving on to pick 29, we have the Chiefs' first pick of the second round. Now, they could trade up from this pick or pick 30, but probably this pick. They could trade up from this pick to pick in like the teens or even early 20s to try and make sure they get a receiver or a receiver that they desperately want. But like I said, there's no trade in this case, and they also could just not do it in general because there's going to be receivers that follow them. There's going to be options for them. Unless there's a run early on, which I don't expect, but there might be. Apparently, because receivers are getting like such a high contract now, that teams are valuing the fifth-year option a whole lot more on a potential first-round receiver than they have in years past. So teams are wanting to take a receiver. More teams are wanting to take a receiver in the first round for that reason now, because of how much the contract is becoming more. But I don't have them taking a receiver yet. I have them taking a receiver at pick 30, but at pick 29, I have the Chiefs taking Jalen Petrie, the safety. I think Baylor. Fairly certain on that. Very smart guy. He's going to replace Tyrann Mathieu. Safety / corner. Mostly safety, but he can fill in at nickel. Jalen Petrie at 29. Then at pick 30 is arguably the guy with arguably the highest ceiling in the whole draft, especially at receiver. That's Christian Watson. He's 6'5", runs like a 4.3, 4.4, something like that. He runs blocks well, but he's played in lower conference and lower competition, so he might not work out, but he could end up being the best player in the whole class. Oh, sorry, yeah, that too, but best receiver. He has the potential to be. I don't think the Chiefs are going to try and exactly duplicate Tyreek Hill. They might take a guy in the second round that try and duplicate Tyreek Hill's skill set more closely. But I think they're just going to try and shoot for the moon with Christian Watson. Just why not? They already had a guy they shot for the moon and it worked out in Patrick Mahomes. Moving on to pick 31, this is the last two picks of the first round of this mock draft. Like, we're just doing one round for this no-trade mock draft. Moving on to pick 31, we have the Bengals taking Lewis Sine, the safety from Georgia. He's very fast, and he missed like 11 tackles, maybe, something like that. He doesn't miss tackles. He's very good at making tackles, which is what you can ask a safety of. And then if he's fast, boom, he gets there fast. He gets there even quicker, as long as he can diagnose the play well, which he hasn't shown an inability to, because he comes from that Georgia defense that just won the title and was phenomenally good. And then he tested really well too, which usually puts your name up higher on draft boards. So we got one last pick, and that's gonna be the Lions at pick 32. And that's gonna. I have them taking a quarterback because you know what, whatever. It's pick 32. They're gonna want to get like a guy they can get a contract with. Now it might be a receiver. They might take the best receiver on the board in this case. I really am considering having them take a receiver this spot in 32. But I'm going to have them take a quarterback, and this quarterback I'm going to take, I really considered Matt Corral. I really considered Matt Corral. Really did. He's attending the drafts, and I the more I think about it, I'm going to do Matt Corral just because I have Carson Strong written down there. I have Carson Strong written here. I think that might be who. Let me see Carson Strong. I think that might be who. Dan Campbell likes, but what's his name? What's Matt Corral? But Matt Corral is attending the draft, and I don't think he's willing. He did that without the prior thought or knowledge or like assumption that he's going to be drafted in the first round, because it's embarrassing to go day 2 in the green room. And for that reason, I am going to go with Matt Corral at pick 32. But I also think they might go to Carson Strong or receiver. And that's been the first round of this trade, this mock. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're asleep. Click on another video if you're not asleep yet. I thank you for being here. Thank you for tolerating all the excess noises. I hope you have a great night. I hope you sleep well. I hope you have the most wonderful dreams. Draft season is almost over. We're almost at the end of it. We're almost at the celebratory part. And I'm so excited. And I hope you all have a great night. Good night. Sweet dreams. Happy draft season.